Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of LMScast. I'm Joshua Millage, and I'm joined today with Christopher Badgett. And today we are talking about Tim Ferriss's 5 accelerated learning principles for your LMS and online course. And Chris, what the heck are we talking about? Who's Tim Ferriss to start off with?
He's a New York Times bestselling author. Back in somewhere around 2007 or so, he wrote a book called The 4 Hour Work Week, which, if you get into online entrepreneurship or uh, trying to generate passive income online, those kinds of things, eventually you run across Tim Ferriss. He's also done a lot in the uh, body hacking and getting strong. He has another book called The 4 Hour Body. He has another one about cooking called The 4 Hour Chef.
Mhm.
But recently he released a TV show about rapid learning, about accelerated learning, and since we're all about creating learning environments, that's what our WordPress LMS plugin LifterLMS is designed to do. We always when we see good ideas out there on how to make engaging online courses, we like to share them with the community.
Mhm.
So Tim's TV show came out, and it was on iTunes. I think it was like $9.99. It's totally worth it. And
Mhm.
you get to watch him. I won't go into every single episode, but like three of them that come into mind where he played drums with a professional rock band on stage,
Right.
all within like a week of never having played drums before.
Right.
He learned um, how to do some open water swimming, and which there was somebody who he actually helped coach in a week to figure out how to swim in the open water, who did not know how to swim in just
Mhm.
1 week. And then the other one, which was really interesting, was he learned some basic urban survival skills, like how to escape custody and and avoid detection and evade authorities and things like that, only in
Wow.
1 week. So it's just a great show, but he has a framework that no matter what the skill is, that he can use to break down and learn these things rapidly. So it was really cool to see that like as a show.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. Yeah, I think I've, read everything that Tim has come out with. I mean, I'm an avid reader of his blog. If I had enough time, I'd probably soak up every single podcast he has. I do love his content. He just has a unique way of extracting information from people as well as just teaching. So let's walk through these principles for people. What's principle number one?
All right, the first one is just deconstruction, and he says that you know that most skills are overwhelming, and in order to successfully acquire new ones, you need to break them down into pieces or units, and then ask yourself, why have I failed at this skill, or why might I fail? And then study those potential failures so that you can avoid them. So it's like deconstruct, it's like eat the elephant one bite at a time, not necessarily in order, and look for problem
Hmm.
spots. So that's deconstruction.
And I would say that comes hand in hand with executing that too. Like the key there is figuring out what it is you could fail at and then diving deep into that.
Yeah, and in the TV show, a great example is when they were learning how to swim, even just what they called the Superman glide. It had nothing to do with like the whole swimming maneuver. It was just move starting or
Hmm.
just breathing, one thing at a time. The next part of rapid learning is called selection. And this is where Tim gets into something called the minimum effective dose. And an
Hmm.
example of that would be like there's four chords on the guitar that
Hmm.
make up 80% of songs. So
Hmm.
like it's selecting what is the most valuable part of that skill that gets you where you need to go.
That's huge. So it's boiling it down then.
Yeah, and selecting like the key, what are the key things? Because we tend to like, and if you're building an online course or you're looking at optimizing the engagement in your learning management system, maybe you've overcomplicated it a little bit, or maybe you're overthinking it, or maybe you're giving people too much information. What is the minimum effective number of lessons or subject areas you need to cover to take someone from where they are to where they want to be?
Right. And that's like goes back to the whole Pareto Principle and the 80/20, which I know Tim is um, a big proponent of. And I apologize for the clicking. I wanted to actually read the actual definition um, of the Pareto Principle because I think it's important when you're thinking about your courses what to give first, second, and third, you know? And I think if you can give away the thing that's going to have the 80% of the impact, starting there, it's really important. So I'm struggling to find a definition per se, but it's essentially Pareto showed that approximately 80% of land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. Pareto developed this principle by observing that 20% of pea pods in his garden contained 80% of the peas. And the idea here is 80% of your sales will come from 20% of your clients and so forth, and you can break it down according to whatever your subject matter or focus is. But I think that's what Tim's doing there is he's focusing on what's the 20% of things that I could learn that could give me 80% of the results. Or he might even break it back down to 95-5 because that ratio still will take effect. But I saw the one where he was learning Tagalog, Filipino language.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's what he did. He's like, what's the most frequently used words? You know, the 20% of the words that are used 80% of the time sort of deal. And it's a great way of looking at things, for sure.
Absolutely.
So
The next skill is called sequencing. And this is sort of a counterintuitive one where you ask yourself, like, what if you did the opposite of best practices? And he gives an example of, like, if you want to learn how to, like, flip food in a frying pan, don't do it with hot food and a runny egg in a frying pan. Do it with, dried beans in a frying pan while you're watching a movie.
mm-hmm.
Or if you want to learn how to chop onions really well, do it with just lettuce and a butter knife while you're listening to music. And kind of get in try to find a different way to train a skill than this high stakes, just jump right in thing, but try to get your subconscious mind working on it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really helpful.
The next one is pretty big, and I don't see a lot of people do this one, but it's to have stakes. So, for example, we mentioned that Tim Ferriss learned how to play the drums with a real rock band. I forget the name of the band, but they sing the song Hot Blooded. It was a real show with 2,000 people in the audience.
Wow.
So he knew that in 1 week, from having never played the drums, he would be on stage with a rock band with a real audience.
Wow.
So the stakes were very high.
That's huge.
And, I'm just trying to think of an example of how you could do it with your online course. One of the simplest ways to do stakes is to actually put a monetary consequence. For example, like you don't get some money back, or you have to pay a fine if you don't complete this thing, or you have some kind of public shame, of course, in like not like over the top.
Right.
But one simple way to do it is just to commit to something publicly.
Well, and I just did this recently in a mastermind that I'm a part of that meets once a month, that I'm going to be waking up at 5 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
This month, I really want to focus on my morning routine and getting that dialed. I think that I'm just tired of not succeeding at it. And so I publicly have said that I would do this. And if I didn't, that the people in my mastermind would be able to donate $100 to any charity that they want, or charity that I don't want to be a part of or whatever. And so they all know that I'm pretty much a very free will, free spirit, free everything. I'm very much a libertarian. So they're saying that they're going to make me donate to the Communist Party of America.
Well, you just went on the record again.
I went on the record again. So philosophically, I'm not a communist at all. But I will be donating to them if I don't wake up early. So that's a pretty high stake for me.
That's a great example. And the fifth and final principle is to simplify. So if you're trying to do rapid and accelerated learning, you should try to focus on just one subject at a time, and saying yes to too many things is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So to really break it down and simplify, the task at hand can help. And I remember from the example in the Tim Ferriss show where he was learning how to drum.
Mm-hmm.
He tried at one point to learn to read music, and then he ended up simplifying to don't learn how to play the drums, learn how to play the song.
Yeah.
And he kept breaking it down, simplifying, trying different things, seeing what stuck, and then finally just committing to just that one song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great show. I really enjoyed it. So cool. Yeah. And how have you done that? Like, I'm curious.
How have I simplified?
Yeah, because you're a minimalist, so you're constantly simplifying a lot of things.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think like minimum effective dose and simplifying. Like for me, I know, for example, I love eating healthy. That in the morning I could make a really fancy, breakfast. But one way I simplify and get jazzed with energy is to have yerba mate and a fruit smoothie with organic fruit and lots of kale or chard or greens in there too. And it's just super simple. And I eat that breakfast every single day. It never
Nice.
changes.
Nice.
So that's an example. It's not necessarily super relevant to online courses, but if you're looking to like
But
claim back a little bit of time in the
yeah,
morning, that could work.
and that fires you up.
That fires
That's
me up.
cool, man. Well, I love keeping these episodes a quick hit for everyone, so let's leave it there with them. But any final thoughts before we close it out?
I would just say Josh and I would really appreciate it if you guys would leave us a review on iTunes or give us 5 stars, 4 stars, honest review, whatever you want.
Yeah,
That kind of thing motivates us. So we'd love to hear what you like, what you don't like, how we can improve, or what you want us to do the next episode on. We really appreciate it.
absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.